Hey everyone, in this video we are going to be looking at Project Lead the Way IED Activity 1.2.5. We are going to be making example object 3. We're just going to tackle the model here. We're not going to actually do a drawing. We're just going to get a model of example object 3. And this is going to be a bit of a different video because there's not as much modeling. We're not going to model from scratch here. We are going to be referring to a previous model. And if I pull up our Canvas page where we have kind of this listed, you'll notice that object 2 or example 2 and example 3 are essentially the exact same object. They're just changing one detail. Instead of this being a object where we have a hole going all the way through the column. Instead of that, they're changing these holes to scoops. We're going to create this little half circle, a 180-degree revolution. We're going to use the revolve command for this, a 180-degree revolve, to create some scoops in the middle of our column here. So because a lot of the properties are shared with example 2, to create example 3, I'm going to strongly encourage you to copy that model over. Don't need the drawing either. I'm going to go back to just a blank drawing here. And in my data panel, I'm going to go and find example 2, the model that we've done. And I'm going to right click on that and I'm going to copy it. Now it's going to say, hey, the following drawing is related to Gotcha. And it's asking if I want to include the drawings to pull over with that. And we're not going to necessarily worry about that right now because for our submission, you just need the model. So we're going to go ahead and skip the drawings. We're just going to copy that object. And I got to tell it where it's going to go. And I'm going to put it in the same folder as our original one. I'm going to go ahead and hit copy. And you'll see that now we have 2 example 2s. The first thing I'm going to do is right click on that and I'm going to rename it just so it doesn't get confusing. I'm going to rename that as example 3. So now I'm going to hit enter so it holds that title. So everything that's in example 2 is now in example 3. And we're going to go ahead and double click and open that up. It should be the exact same file that we had for 2. And if I free orbit here and move this around, you'll see that we still have holes. And the design is calling for us to change these holes to scoops. Now, really the big thing I want you to take away with this drawing, I'm going to relocate Fusion just a bit so you can see it a little better. But down here on the bottom of my screen, in my modeling space, is our timeline. And this is where we can view any kind of feature or sketch that we have done. It kind of walks us through history in creating this project. And I'm going to use that to our advantage to delete some of our previous features and change them to get something else that'll work well. So let's go about doing this. So again, we are in example 3 because I've copied and renamed it. So we are good to make changes here. We're not going to lose anything in example 2, which is now a separate file. I'm going to go ahead and get our data panel out of the way by selecting this waffle button. Have a little more space. And let's use this timeline, shall we? So extrude 3 is what created those holes. Sketch 3 is what created the circles that we're now going to change into scoops. So the first thing I'm going to do is right click on this most recent feature and I'm going to go ahead and hit delete. I'm going to take those extrusions out. Now I still have the sketch. It is still sitting there. You can't see it right now, but if I hit this this fall down, this blowout feature here, I can go and find sketch 4. I can turn that on and you can still see it there. Even our construction line is still good to go. So it exists. It's just turned off visibly. But we can go down here and I can double click on that and it's taking me back to my sketch to edit it. And in this case, we just need to make a couple edits because we had a construction line that we were using and we used that to kind of put in some constraints here. And now I'm going to go about changing that line type, that construction line. I'm going to go ahead and make that an actual line now. And there's a reason why I'm going to do that, because I need to make this just a half circle, and then I'm going to do a 180-degree revolve with it to make the scoop. So I'm going to make this a complete line because I need to have an enclosed profile, but I have too much stuff going on here. So the first thing I'm going to do, and I'm probably going to lose some constraints when I do this, and that's going to be okay, but I'm going to hit the trim command. It's these scissors right here. And I'm going to trim what was that previous construction line that I've now used this line type command to change into an actual line. I'm going to go ahead and trim off all the excess. So I'm going to take off all the sections between, and I'm going to take off half of my circles. Okay. Now, obviously, those things have turned blue because we have lost a lot of our constraints. We can go back and add some of those constraints now to make sure that we are still looking nice. So first thing I'm going to do is add a constraint to relocate this circle into the middle with that 0.25. I'm also going to go ahead and give this line a size. Oh, looks like I've already got that constraint, so I don't need that. I think perhaps what may need to happen, let's see what I need to do to line those up. I think the first thing I'm going to do is add in a vertical constraint, and I'm going to constrain all of those lines vertically to make lined up with our circles, which are also constrained, and that already fully constrained. Just with this vertical constraint, I was able to get all three of those by just selecting that one. I carried it up through all three. So we are fully constrained because I've got all of my lines black in color, and that's all we need to change, folks. So we're going to go ahead and hit Finish Sketch. And again, that sketch exists, it's just not visible. I'm going to go to our isometric view, and underneath my browser here, I'm going to hit this menu or this caret, this blowout feature here, and I'm going to turn on Sketch 4. And now I'm going to use the revolve command, and I'm going to select all three profiles, which were those half circles. Now I need to choose an axis to revolve around. So I'm going to hit select. I'm going to choose the axis of any of those circles will work because it's going to be the same axis because they're all in a line. And I could leave the angle at 360 degrees. It's going to scoop out the air, essentially. There's nothing to remove on the latter half of this revolve. If we wanted to be really precise, what we would do is change that 360. We can just change it to 180. Still going to complete scoop because it's going to rotate around 180 degrees and stop there on the surface of our object. And we are going to hit OK. And so now we've revolved, but I just realized I revolved the wrong direction. I have created nubs rather than scoops, and so we need to go and fix that, shall we? So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my timeline, double click, and 180 degrees, and we're doing a join. And let me see what happens when I just push that to cut. Let me do that. 3 selected, 1 axis. Yep, got that. Let's see. Sorry, folks. Let's go ahead and double click again. I'm just going back to the beginning. Maybe instead of 180, perhaps I change that to a negative 180. Let's see what that does. Doesn't like that either. I'm going to hit undo. Let's go back to that revolve. Instead of the 180, how about we just keep 360? Instead of join, let's go cut. That's going to work for me. I like that. It's taking the scoops out with 360. I'm curious after cutting with 360. Curious what going back to 180. Doesn't like that. So, yeah, we're going to go ahead and keep that at 360 degrees to do this full cut. Because what's happening, folks, is it's rotating this direction. Maybe what I would need to do is one-sided, but it is going that one direction. It didn't like when I put it in negative. So we're just going to leave that 360-degree cut to hit OK. And that is giving us the result that we're looking for there, where we've got now a free orbit. Just kind of see, yeah, we've got scoops going into that object, into that middle column there. Go back to my isometric, and we are essentially done. We can hit save one last time to make sure our work is saved. For example 3, this is a model on how to change an object and using our timeline to make some adjustments to an object that's mostly the same, just changing a couple features within it. In this case, holes to scoops. Thanks so much. Thanks again for activity 1.2.5, example 3. You'll want to take a screenshot of this model and insert it into your submission. Have a wonderful day.